Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive. Today we're going deep on a topic that's super important for us as public servants.
Oh, yeah.
It's Canada's 2022-24 National Action Plan on Open Government.
All right.
Now, I know what you're thinking, another plan,
Yeah.
but trust me on this one.
Okay.
This isn't just some document gathering dust on a shelf.
Mm-hmm.
This is like our playbook for actually making a difference in people's lives.
I like that.
Yeah. And
Go playbook.
it's all about making government more transparent, accountable, and, really putting citizens at the heart of everything we do.
I think what's really neat about this plan is that it really takes things a step further.
Oh,
We've been doing pretty well with open data in Canada,
yeah.
but this plan goes beyond just data.
Okay. Yeah.
It's about using those open government principles like transparency, accountability, and citizen participation to solve those real-world problems.
Right, those everyday challenges that Canadians actually face.
Exactly.
So we're talking about being clear with information,
Yes.
owning up to our actions,
Ah.
and truly listening to what people need and want.
Absolutely. And the timing of this plan is really interesting.
Oh, how so?
Well, it was put together during the pandemic,
Oh, wow.
and that really highlighted just how vital open government is.
I can see that.
Think about it.
Yeah.
All that confusion and mistrust back then when it was so hard to find reliable information,
Oh, yeah.
open government helps prevent that.
That's like that feeling when you finally find the right form online after hours of searching.
Haha. Exactly.
Except we're talking about way more important things than just paperwork.
Right.
And what I really appreciate is that this plan isn't just about dumping data online.
Yeah.
It's about actually turning that data into action.
And that's where the cool part comes in, public consultations.
Oh, so they actually asked people what they thought.
They did. They really made an effort to hear from diverse voices,
Including.
including those who don't always get a seat at the table.
It's so important to hear those perspectives.
It really is.
I was even looking through the annexes, and it's amazing to see the range of issues people brought up.
What kind of things?
Well, like environmental racism,
Wow.
concerns about data on crimes against women,
Mm-hmm.
even the need for more transparency around how algorithms are being used in the justice system.
Those annexes are a goldmine.
They are.
It really shows that they were listening,
Yeah,
even if they couldn't address every single point right away.
right, because open government's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
But speaking of addressing things,
Yes.
let's jump into the first theme of the plan,
Okay.
climate change and sustainable growth.
I think it's safe to say that climate change is the big issue.
It is.
And this plan recognizes that open government has a huge role to play in tackling it.
Yeah, it's not just about scientists talking to scientists anymore.
Right.
It's about making climate information and data accessible to everyone.
Everyone.
Because let's face it, people can't make informed decisions if they don't have the facts.
And who better to learn from than indigenous communities? They've been living sustainably for centuries.
Absolutely.
The plan really emphasizes the importance of learning from their knowledge and experience.
I think that's so key.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the next theme,
Okay.
democracy and civic space.
Ooh, this one's a biggie,
It is.
especially in today's digital world.
I mean, we've all seen how misinformation can just spread like wildfire.
Yeah,
It's scary how fast it can erode trust in our democratic institutions.
absolutely.
So this theme is all about fighting disinformation
Yes.
and protecting those civic spaces.
Both on and offline.
Yeah. Ensuring fair elections,
Mm-hmm.
fostering trust in public institutions,
Yes.
and promoting social inclusion.
Think about it.
Yeah.
How can people participate if they don't feel safe or included?
That's such a good point.
And there's this one part that really stood out to me.
Oh, what's that?
They're planning to support research into the state of civic discourse in Canada.
Interesting.
It really made me think
Yeah.
about our role as public servants in promoting healthy dialogue.
Creating spaces where people can disagree respectfully.
Exactly.
Okay, on to the next theme.
Okay.
Justice.
This one's all about addressing the access to justice crisis.
Which, let's be honest, affects way too many Canadians.
It does.
So the goal is to make the justice system more accessible
And more equitable.
for everyone, no matter their background.
Absolutely. And disaggregated data is going to be a key part of that.
You mean breaking down the data
Yes.
by gender,
Race.
socioeconomic status?
Oh, all those factors.
Right, because how can we create effective solutions if we don't understand the specific barriers different groups are facing?
Exactly. It's about moving beyond those one-size-fits-all approaches.
And recognizing that different communities have different needs.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered climate action,
Mm-hmm.
democracy.
And justice.
What's next?
Well, last but certainly not least,
Okay.
we have open data for results.
Break it down for me.
So this theme is all about shifting our focus
From just releasing data.
to actually using it to make a real difference in people's lives.
So it's not just about having mountains of data.
Right.
It's about having the right data.
The data that actually helps us improve lives.
And to make sure the data is actually usable,
Yes.
they're going to be creating a roadmap for federal data standards.
This is going to be huge,
Yeah.
especially for accessibility,
So that everyone
regardless of their abilities.
can benefit from open data.
Exactly, creating a more inclusive and equitable Canada.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get too deep into the weeds here,
Okay.
let's take a pause
Mm-hmm.
and bring it back to you, our listener.
Yes.
I know we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
but I'm curious, what's standing out to you so far?
What's piqued your interest? And you know, one thing that really impressed me about this plan,
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't just set these big, lofty goals.
Hmm.
It actually lays out specific steps to get there.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's got milestones and indicators so we can actually track progress and see how we're doing.
So it's not just a wish list.
Exactly.
It's a real plan of action.
Exactly.
Can you give me an example? Like, what are some of the specific targets they've set?
Sure. So let's take the climate action theme as an example.
Okay.
One target is to increase the number of people accessing climate information
Okay.
through the Canadian Centre for Climate Services
Mhm.
by 10% by 2023.
That's pretty specific.
It's a measurable goal
Yeah.
that shows they're serious about getting this information out there to the people who need it.
Okay, but information's only useful if people actually understand it right.
Right.
So what about making sure it's tailored to different audiences?
Well, they've got that covered too.
Oh, good.
One of the targets is to respond to at least 300 user inquiries through their support desk every year.
So they're ready to answer questions and help people find what they need.
Exactly. It's a real commitment to user engagement.
It's like having a personal climate information concierge.
Huh.
That's way better than trying to decipher those dense reports on your own.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it sounds like this user-focused approach isn't just for climate change.
Nope, it's across the board.
What are the other themes we talked about, like democracy and civic space?
Well, in that area, they're planning to launch an online engagement tool
Oh, cool.
to get Canadians talking about national security transparency.
National security, huh?
Huh.
That's a pretty sensitive topic.
It is, and that's exactly why it's so important to have open and honest conversations about it.
Yeah, I see your point.
This tool shows that they're willing to engage with Canadians even on those tough issues.
Which is a good sign.
It helps build trust.
Speaking of transparency,
Yeah.
what about that commitment to create a beneficial ownership registry?
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
I remember that being in the news a while back.
Yeah, the goal is to have it up and running by the end of 2023.
And this will cover federally regulated corporations, right?
That's right.
So Canadians will finally be able to see who really owns and controls these companies.
Exactly. It's all about accountability.
No more hiding behind shell corporations.
Nope, it's going to shed light on some shady dealings, I bet.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's not just about catching the bad guys, though.
Oh.
It's about leveling the playing field.
Okay.
Transparency in corporate ownership benefits everyone, businesses, investors, the public.
That makes sense.
Okay, so we've got tackling climate change, strengthening democracy, bringing transparency to corporations.
This plan is hitting all the big issues.
It is, but let's not forget about access to justice.
Oh, right, of course.
So what concrete actions are they taking to make the justice system work better for everyone?
Yeah, what are they doing?
Well, data is a key piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
They're committed to collecting and sharing disaggregated data
Mm-hmm.
related to people's legal needs and experiences.
So breaking it down by different demographics.
Exactly. By understanding the specific barriers different groups face,
Okay.
we can start to develop more targeted and effective solutions.
Instead of just throwing money at the problem
Exactly. It's about getting to the root causes.
and tailoring our solutions accordingly.
Yes.
That's a smart move.
So, for instance,
Yeah.
they're going to complete the Canadian Legal Problem Survey
Okay.
and share the results publicly.
Including disaggregated data.
Of course, broken down by demographics,
Okay.
LGBTQ2S populations, Black Canadians, persons with disabilities, immigrants, Indigenous peoples.
That's going to provide some really valuable insights.
It'll help us understand the unique challenges these groups face.
So it's not just about collecting data.
No.
It's also about empowering people with legal knowledge.
Right, they're updating resources like Charterpedia on the Justice website.
Hmm.
They're publishing geospatial mapping of services funded by the Indigenous Justice Program,
Wow.
and they're releasing a whole range of family law tools.
It's about making legal information more accessible.
And understandable.
Everyone, not just the lawyers.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, after all.
And it sounds like they're not trying to do this alone.
No collaboration is a big part of this plan.
Oh, how so?
Well, they're working with provincial and territorial partners,
Oh.
participating in international coalitions
Quite.
like the OGP Coalition on Justice, and collaborating with organizations like the Action Committee on Access to Justice in Civil and Family Matters.
It's good to see that they're reaching out and working together.
Definitely complex problems require collaborative solutions.
I was also really intrigued by that commitment to greater openness and transparency within the RCMP.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
It seems like a pretty big deal.
It is. They're developing a multi-year roadmap for open government at the RCMP,
Wow.
which includes creating an open government office
Okay.
and an open government working group.
So they're really putting their money where their mouth is.
They are. It's about building trust and accountability between law enforcement and the communities they serve.
And to make sure those communities actually have a voice at the table,
Yes,
they're establishing an RCMP multi-stakeholder forum,
that's right.
bringing together representatives from NGOs, government departments, the private sector, academia, and community groups.
It's a pretty diverse group.
It is, and that diversity of perspectives is so important.
It is, especially when you're talking about such a sensitive topic.
Before we move on to the final theme,
Hi.
I have to mention the Inclusion Toolkit.
Oh, yes.
That's an Annex B.
I love that they included this.
It's packed with resources and guidance on how to make open government initiatives truly inclusive.
It's a fantastic resource for public servants who want to make sure their work benefits everyone.
Not just a select few.
It really emphasizes the importance of considering the diverse needs and experiences of different communities.
It's about making sure no one is left behind.
Exactly.
That open government truly lives up to its name.
I agree.
Okay, so let's dive into that final theme, open data for results.
All right.
What are the key takeaways here?
One of the biggest commitments is to develop a roadmap for federal data standards.
Data standards.
Yeah, it's essential for making sure that data is interoperable. Interoperable meaning that different systems can talk to each other and that the data is usable.
So it's like creating a common language for data.
Exactly. It'll make things a lot smoother and more efficient.
I can see that.
And it's not just about the technical standards.
Right.
It's also about data quality and governance. So they're creating a data and information governance framework,
Okay.
and they're defining a federal data quality framework.
So clear standards, high quality data, and a solid framework for managing it all.
Exactly.
Sounds like a recipe for success.
It does, but all this data is useless if people can't access it right.
Right.
So what are they doing to make sure the data is actually usable?
Yeah, good question.
Well, for starters, they're expanding the federated open data search
Okay.
to include open data from all 13 jurisdictions.
So no matter where you live in Canada.
You can find open data from across the country.
That's awesome.
It's like a one-stop shop for open data.
No more jumping through hoops or trying to navigate different websites.
Yep.
And what about making sure the data is actually relevant and useful to different communities?
Well, they're developing a disaggregated data action plan.
Okay, what does that involve?
So it involves developing a collection strategy for major surveys,
Okay.
enhancing existing surveys to collect more disaggregated data,
Mm-hmm.
and exploring new data sources to fill in any gaps.
So making sure the data reflects the diversity of the Canadian population.
Yes,
And that it can be used to develop policies and programs that truly meet everyone's needs.
exactly. And to make all this data easily accessible,
Yes.
they're launching an intersectional population-level platform,
Okay.
and they're enhancing the portal of the Center for Gender Diversity and Inclusion Statistics.
So we're talking about high-quality disaggregated data.
That's easily accessible to everyone.
That's a pretty powerful combination.
It is, but we also need to think about those who might face barriers to accessing this data online.
Right. Digital literacy and access are still big issues.
They are, and the plan recognizes that
They-
they're working with Indigenous peoples to create a data sharing policy
Okay.
that respects Indigenous data sovereignty
That's important.
and ensures that data sharing benefits Indigenous communities.
I like that.
And what about empowering citizens to actually contribute to the data collection process?
Citizen science.
Exactly.
I've heard a lot about that lately.
Yeah, they're planning to develop and test an infrastructure
Okay.
to facilitate the uptake of citizen science in a health research context.
So tapping into the collective knowledge and expertise of Canadians.
To gather data that's relevant and meaningful to their communities.
That's a great idea.
And it doesn't stop at our borders.
Oh.
The plan also highlights the importance of supporting open data initiatives internationally.
So we're sharing our knowledge and expertise with the world.
Exactly. They're committing to supporting organizations in at least 15 OGP countries.
Wow.
In developing regions to advance the open, fair, and efficient use of data.
To strengthen their democracies.
Exactly. It's about fostering a global culture of open government.
It's an ambitious goal, but definitely a worthy one.
I agree.
So we've got this comprehensive plan,
Mm-hmm.
clear goals, concrete actions, a focus on collaboration and inclusion.
It's a good plan.
It is, but how do we know if it's actually working?
Right. How do we measure the impact of all this effort?
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
where measurement and evaluation come in.
Okay.
So they're developing a maturity model for open government and open data.
Mm-hmm.
They're consulting on and developing departmental service standards for prioritizing and releasing open data.
Okay.
And they're creating reporting tools for departments to monitor progress and outcomes.
So it's not just about doing things.
Mhm.
It's about doing them well and tracking our progress.
Exactly. Data-driven decision-making at its finest.
I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed with this plan.
Me too. It's a far cry from those dry bureaucratic documents I was expecting.
It really is. It shows a real commitment to making a difference.
It does.
And it's not a one-time effort. It's a continuous journey of learning and improvement.
And speaking of which,
Yes.
let's bring it back to our listeners.
We've talked a lot about this plan.
We have.
But now I want to shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about you.
Me.
You, our listeners.
Okay.
The amazing public servants out there.
All right.
You're the ones on the ground making things happen every day for Canadians.
That's true.
So think about your work,
Okay.
the services you provide,
Mm-hmm.
the information you share,
Yeah.
and how you interact with people.
Okay. I'm thinking.
How can you weave these open government principles into your daily work?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It might be something small,
Like,
making information easier to find on your department's website,
oh, okay.
or using plain language that everyone can understand.
Right, making things clear and simple.
Exactly. Or maybe it's about seeking input from the people you serve.
Before making decisions that affect them.
Yeah, getting their perspectives.
I like that.
It could even be about creating a more open and collaborative culture within your team.
Oh, yeah, within our own departments.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
There are so many possibilities.
There are.
But the key takeaway here
Yes.
is that open government,
It's more than just a buzzword.
it's more than just a policy document,
It's a way of working,
a way of thinking.
a way of being.
And even small actions can make a difference.
They can. They really can.
Because when each of us embraces these principles,
Yeah.
we create a more transparent
Accountable.
and citizen-centric government.
together.
Exactly. So as you go about your work this week,
Okay.
I challenge you to keep these principles top of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Look for those opportunities to be more open
More accountable.
and more inclusive.
In everything we do.
And remember, this plan isn't set in stone.
Right.
It's meant to evolve and grow.
So if you have ideas for improvement, share them.
Your voice matters.
It does.
Your insights can help shape the future of open government in Canada.
Because open government is a journey we're all on together.
It is.
So let's keep talking
Share our ideas.
and work together to build a better
More open.
government for all Canadians.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you found it insightful.
And inspiring.
Until next time,
Stay curious.
stay engaged.
And keep pushing for a more open and accountable government.
We'll see you next time.